All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming in bright and early. Um, First off, thank you so much for your patience during the assessment. We know it was crazy. Um, we weren't expecting that huge of a turnout on us or Tuesday. I know. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Yeah, we were plugging and chugging. We had 80 something names to go through, and it was bound to happen. Bound to happen. So I apologize. Um, Let me just give you a couple of stats from the event. We had 59 women, 25 men. Okay, so your numbers were based off of those, off of the 59 women and the 25 men. Alrighty. Okay, let's talk. Let's have some fun. So today, as you know, we're going to be talking about cardiovascular conditioning. Now, the reason why we wanted to start off with cardiovascular conditioning, a couple reasons. One, and the very beginning, is that it is the foundation of all other exercise. Okay, if your heart isn't working right, if you get really winded really fast, you're not going to be able to get as much out of the workout that you're doing. So that's why we want to improve our cardiovascular health. Two, is that in the United States alone, the number one, uh, uh, gosh, thank you. My goodness, it's early. I'm struggling here. The number one cause of death is cardiovascular disease. Alrighty, so that can range from anywhere between heart disease from just prolonged high blood pressure, prolonged high cholesterol. Uh, Refers to anything that gets your heart rate up and it stays up. All right, so it's a sustained heart rate. Now, for a lot of you, you're like, okay, well, what heart rate is that? What should my heart rate be at? If you look on your sheet, we have a bunch of different ways for you to measure how high your heart rate is or if you're pushing yourself hard enough. The tendency for a lot of people while they're doing cardio is to just kind of go through the motions and just get what do you call it, more glazed over watching the TV or something, and you don't really pay attention to how hard you're working, right? You're just kind of going through the motions. So we want to make sure that you are getting the most out of your workout. We want to make sure that you're pushing yourself hard enough that you're going to see the benefits from it. So let's go to your paper. If you look on the left-hand side, there is a little colorful scale. It is called the RPE scale. This is basically when you're exercising, you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, and you decide where you're at as far as discomfort on that scale. So if you're going on the treadmill and you're like, I feel great, I could do this for hours, you're probably at like a 1 or 2. If you speed, increase resistance. If you're on a treadmill, increase the incline, whatever it is. And then where we want you to be is if you are able to hold a conversation with someone, but you're having to take a few breaths in between sentences, that's where we want you. So for example, if I'm on the bike and I'm talking to my dad here, say, all right, yeah, oh man, I'm really excited about this senior workshop, and it's going to be pretty fun. And that's kind of where you want to be at, taking those deep breaths in between every sentence. Okay, let's move on to the next way to test. Now, for all of you math whizzes out there, this is going to be what you want to do if you're into formulas. This is not an extreme advanced one, but it still requires math. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your age and subtract that from 220. I don't know why 220, but that's just what science says, okay? So subtract it from 220, and then you are going to multiply that by 0.65. And that will give you how many beats per minute, your heart rate per minute, okay? Any question? Yeah. So yeah. So if let's say you don't have like a calculator handy, or you don't have a way to measure your heart rate on whatever device you're using, way that you can do that is if I have, I got to do easy math here. Well, let's just say if you know your heart rate, you divide that answer that you have by 6, okay, adding more math, divide it by 6, and then you're going to measure your pulse. You're going to take your two fingers, your index finger and your middle finger, find your carotid artery, which is usually right underneath your jaw, okay, and you'll feel it pumping. If you don't, let's get you to the hospital. Okay, so you'll feel it pumping, and you're going to count how many pumps in 10 seconds. Okay, and then you could do that. You multiply that number by 6, and that will give you how many beats per minute, your heart rate. Okay, I don't know if I explained that great, but also I failed to mention at the beginning, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. More than happy to answer them as best as we can. Okay. Perceived exertion. What's the rating of perceived exertion? Yeah. In the fitness world, we love acronyms. I don't know why. Acronyms, yeah. Okay, perfect. Any other questions? Alrighty. Okay, let's move on to modalities, okay? Well, actually, no. Sorry. I want to backtrack here a little bit. So the question is, all right, so now we know, all right, where we should be at. How long do we sustain that heart rate for? Okay, so the beauty of this program is and the beauty of the assessment that we did is now you have a starting point. Okay, you know where you're at right now, and now all we want to do is try and improve it and just see if we can just get better, right? So we're going to start from where you're at. If that means that if you currently do cardio and if you can do 10 minutes on the elliptical and you're winded after that, that's totally fine, all right? Maybe the next week as you start again, try increasing the time a little bit. Try going for 11 minutes or 12, all right? So we're starting from where you're at. So if you got on your assessment that your cardio needs improvement, never fear, all right? We're just going to hopefully get you to get better and better as we go. So what we want you to be at and what is recommended from fitness professionals is that you get about 150 minutes of cardio exercise a week. You break that down, that's about 30 minutes of cardio 5 days a week. That can seem like a lot. It is a lot. Again, let's start from where you're at. If you're only getting 30, that's okay. Let's see if we can next week bump it up to 40. All right. Now there is a difference. Let's say you're like, I don't want to do 150 minutes. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of time. I don't have that kind of time. Another way that you could do it is you could do 75 minutes of more vigorous intensity exercise. So what that means is instead of, with the equation, instead of multiplying by 0.65, you're going to multiply it by 0.8. And then also on the RPE scale, that means that you're going to be at about a level 8. There, okay? So you're like huffing. You're working hard. This would be the equivalent of like going for a jog or a run. And then with the sing talk test, similar, but you're gonna be able to, or you're gonna be talking, but you're gonna have to say one word at a time. Okay, so yeah, this is really like you're breathing a lot. Okay, so that's more vigorous intensity, and with that case, you only have to do 75 minutes. So more pain, less time. Pros and cons. All right. Any questions regarding that? Sweet. Awesome. Okay. Let's move on to modalities. If you look on the bottom of your page, we just covered a couple of the modalities that you can use as cardio exercise. There are so many of them. So many of them. So these are just a few of the ones that we have at the gym. We have even more too. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. What an inopportune time. So let's start with the first one. I believe it is the treadmill. Thank you. So there's pros and cons to each of these exercises. With the treadmill, one of the great things about the treadmill is that it is weight bearing, which means it is really good for your bones. For women especially, as we age, our hormones do all sorts of wacky things, I'm sure you know. And one of the things that happens is the decrease in estrogen actually decreases our bone mass. We lose bone mass a lot faster than we did before, which leads to osteoporosis, osteopenia, that type of thing. So if you are experiencing any of that, or if you have either of those, or you notice that your bones are feeling a little weaker, this would be a great option for you. Because it is weight bearing, it's going to help you maintain that bone density that you in your body. The bummer is about this is that because it is weight bearing, it is also very hard on your joints. So if you have bad knees or a lot of knee pain or hip pain, this is probably not going to be great for you. You're just going to be in a lot of pain as you're doing it. All right. So pros and cons. Just wait out and see what's more important for you. Let's move on to the next one. I believe it is the recumbent stepper. Is that right? Okay. Okay, the recumbent stepper is those machines that you see out on the floor that say New Step or SciFit on them. See a lot of people using them. Those machines are fantastic if you do have a lot of pain. If you have a lot of knee pain or hip pain, ankle pain, any sort of joint pain in your lower body, that is going to be great for you. It's easier, not hardly any impact on your joints, if any. Okay. The bummer part about this exercise is that, first of all, it's non-weight bearing. So again, if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, it's not going to be super helpful for that. And also, it can be too easy for some of you. Some of you are way past that point, right? And you're like, you could go on there and just chug as hard as you can, and you're still not going to be getting that heart rate up where we want it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one, I believe, is the recumbent bicycle. So the recumbent bike is similar to the recumbent stepper, except it's kind of like the next level up. It's a little harder, but again, it can be too easy for some of you, where you're going on and you're pushing as hard as you can, but it's just not getting the same, it's not getting your heart rate where we want it to be. However, it is great for those of you who have joint pain. Again, another great exercise, non-weight bearing. Okay. The last one I have on there is swimming. Swimming is awesome. Do we have any avid swimmers in the group? All right, bummer. You're missing out. That's okay. Water aerobics, that counts. That counts. We'll count it. So, swimming or any water activity, when you're in the water, I should say, is fantastic if, again, you have joint pain or if you have limited mobility. If you're not able to walk very well, then the pool is going to be great for you just because it takes that weight off. That being said, though, again, the downfall of the pool is it's non-weight bearing. All right. Although another plus with the pool is that you get a full body workout when you're in there. I mean, yeah, you're going to be burning everywhere. So take it or leave it. There's other ones that I said that I haven't put on there. The elliptical, same type of thing. The hard part with the elliptical is if you're not used to it or if your balance is a little off, this might be a little harder for you, just because it's a different motion than a lot of people are used to. But it is a great exercise too. We don't. She asked if we have a Pilates machine, and we unfortunately do not. Yeah. Let's see. Any others? I failed to mention rowing. Rowing, we also have a few rowing machines. We have 2 out here, and then we have 1 in the ladies' circuit room. Sorry, guys, but the rowing machine is another fantastic workout if you have any joint pain. It's really, really easy on those knees, and you're getting a pretty good workout. You're getting your legs, your core, your back, all sorts of stuff. All right. The bummer with the rowing machine is I've noticed with a lot of people using it is that it's hard for them to get up to a point where they're actually getting a good cardio workout from it. A lot of times, and this is me included, you just kind of row. You're just kind of going through the motions, and you're not necessarily working too hard. And it can seem like, I'm doing my best. Like, this isn't going. I have the resistance up to 10, this feels fine. It's getting too easy. With a rower, you get what you put into it. So all you have to do is start rowing faster, start pulling a little harder, and then I tell you what, you will get a good workout. I promise you that. Con with a rower, again, non-weight bearing. Okay. Anything else? Am I missing anything? Yeah, thank you. Cardio, yeah, you don't have to stay in the gym. Although the gym is kind of nice because of our terrible weather that we've been having. You can go kayaking, paddleboarding, maybe. All sorts of different stuff. Biking outside, going on walks on the beach. Walking your dog is one of those iffy ones. If you are, having to stop all the time because your dog is sniffing everything and peeing on everything, then it's probably not a great cardio exercise for you. Again, we want that sustained heart rate. We don't want it kind of going up and down, nice and even and high. Okay? Many questions. I know I kind of threw a lot out there. Yeah. It's based on the group. Yeah. Yes, it is based on the group. So for you, it'd be based off of the 58 other women. Yeah, that participated in the program. Yeah. Yes.
I missed the last step on the, we take 220 and subtract our age, we get a number, and we multiply that by 65.
0.65, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there's another step, and I missed
Yeah. So she asked what the net. So just go over the equation one more time. So you multiply it by 0.65, and then you divide it by 6. Did I do that right? Yeah, that's right. You divide it by 6, and that will give you your heart rate for every 10 seconds. Okay? So if, let's say that you divide it by 6 and it's 14, what you're going to do is you're going to check your pulse, and you're going to see if you count 14 beats per 10 seconds. Okay? Another way to do it, if you wanted to do a different way, is you could check your pulse for 10 seconds, count how many beats you have, and then multiply that by 6 and see if it's within that ballpark where you want to be. Okay? Yeah, you're more than welcome to use heart rate monitors. For me, I have a Apple Watch, and I love it. This is not a plug for Apple Watches, but because I'm able to see my heart rate as I'm working out. So I can tell, okay, I'm about 150 right now. I want to get up to 160, and so I'm going to push a little harder. So it's the same thing. If you have a watch that will measure your heart rate, or a heart rate monitor, there's some that go around your chest. Feel free to use it. It's a great tool to be able to see if you are hitting that benchmark of where we want you to be. Yeah. Yes, they do. So some of the, I'm glad you pointed it out. So some of the exercise machines have a heart rate monitor on them. They can be a little wonky sometimes, so you just have to be careful. Again, if it seems really low to you, then do one of the tests. Do the RPE scale, the Sing Talk test, something like that. Okay. Any other? Yes, please.
So the purpose of the mic isn't so that you can hear me better, it's so that the recording can hear better. But the RPE, I just want to give a plug for that. Janessa is not a big fan of it. I am. So the RPE has been scientifically studied, and what they say is, if I ask you how hard are you working right now on a scale of 1 to 10, you say, I mean, of course, right now you'd say 1. But if you were exercising, you'd say, well, I'm about a 6. Well, it turns out that 6 represents a physiologic level that corresponds to real-time measurement. So it's a very valuable tool because you can carry it with you wherever you go. So as you're going, you can just say, well, I'm about a 5, or I'm about a 8, or I'm whatever it is, and then you can adjust accordingly. And it's a scientific way of doing it. It's pretty handy. That way you don't have to take your heart rate, but if you're one who likes exact data, then go ahead and you can take your pulse, use your watch, use the heart rate monitor, use the monitors on the machines. As Janessa mentioned, they are a little bit funny. They don't always work exactly right, and the way you know that they're not working right is you just get these outlandish numbers. They're either way too low or way too high, but if it seems to be zeroing in on a number, or the change is very gradual or moderate, then it's accurate. And when they're accurate, they're really accurate, but it's just knowing when they're accurate. So any questions about those? And they're just the little silver grips on the machines. If there's little silver pads, and you just want to make sure that your hands are a little bit moist when you hang on. If your hands are real dry, then it will not pick you up. Okay. Yeah. So you can just spit on your hand. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, Janessa here. You better take this back.
All right. Okay, let's move on to, we've gone over the different modalities and how to measure and where you should be at. Let's talk about the exercise itself. So every time that you work out, we want to make sure that you are getting a warm-up in. A warm-up is extremely important. We don't want your heart doesn't like it when you jump from your resting heart rate, like say like 65 beats per minute to 120. That's really, really hard for your heart. And so what we want to do is kind of gradually increase that heart rate, right? It's not a huge jump, it's just a slow incline. Okay? So when you are working out, try and warm up for 5 to 10 minutes. Whatever that may be, if that means, on the treadmill, maybe starting out at a slower pace and then increasing the speed as you kind of after you hit that warm-up phase. One of the things too is actually warm-ups will help you perform better. Your muscles are really, really stiff and they're cold, and that's the reason why you say warm up. You're warming up those muscles, and when those muscles are nice and warm, you're going to be able to move better, more smoothly. You're going to find that you have a little bit more strength. So whatever you do, even if you're not doing cardio, warm up. Please, please, please. Now, okay, so let's say you do a 5-10 minute warm up. Now it's time for your workout. Again, we want to start with where you are at. So if a workout means a minute of really, heavy trudging, going hard on the treadmill again, then that's fine. Do your minute. That's perfect. And then you're going to cool down a little bit, okay? You have fun with this too. So let's say you're like, okay, I want to do a minute as fast as I can, or go as far as I can in a minute, and then maybe take a break for 30 seconds. Do another minute, take a break for 30 seconds. Do another minute, take a break, okay? There's lots of ways that you can do it. You could also say, I want to see how fast I can go a mile. And time yourself, and then just try to beat that time as you go throughout the weeks. Try to keep beating that time that you had before. So after you've done your workout, whatever that may be, then you're going to want to spend some time cooling down. So the same thing with your heart not liking that jump going up. It also doesn't like that jump going down. So you just kind of want to gradually decrease that heart rate. You can do probably, again, about 5 minutes of just walking or taking it easy, okay? But don't stop entirely. Yes, Bonnie? Technically, so the question was the 10-minute warm-up and the 5-minute cool down are not technically part of your exercise, and yes, that is true. We want, and let me rephrase that. The 150 minutes that is advised of cardio a week is at moderate intensity. So if your warm-up, if you feel like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, like this is a, I'm getting there, getting that heart rate up, then sure, count it towards that 30 minutes. But odds are it's probably not going to be there. Okay. Any other questions? Perfect. Now, if at any time, we should put in a little warning, if at any time you are doing cardio and you are feeling lightheaded, a little dizzy, maybe a little chest pain, shortness of breath, please stop. If it's continuing, if it's pretty bad, come find us and we'll take the appropriate measures we need to. Or if it continues for a long period of time, go see your doctor. All right, please do not hesitate to do that. That's the last thing we want, is anything bad to happen. Yes. Okay. Anything else that you can think of? Here he comes. Here he comes.
I want to just tell you a quick story about a guy whose name I thought was Ralph, but it's not Ralph, it's Hank. Hank was a customer many years ago, 25 years ago or so. And when he came to us, he had 70% lung capacity loss. So he's working on 30% lung capacity. He had brittle diabetes. So, blood sugars are all over the place. He's not responding well to his medication. He came in and literally staggered in and props himself at the front desk, because it wasn't even in this location, it was at our previous location. Props himself on the front desk and says, the doctor told me I need to get some exercise. And we're like, okay. And so we got him going, and his workout was to get on the treadmill at the lowest speed, which it was a half a mile an hour, which is really slow. And he went for 1 minute, and that was his workout for that period of time. And then we said, when you're done, I want you to climb off that treadmill and then just rest as long as you need to till you feel completely normal. And so he would rest sometimes as long as a half an hour and just hanging out. Actually, he was flirting with the lady at the front desk, but and I think that got his heart rate up more than the exercise did, but whatever. Then he went back on the treadmill for another minute and got back off and rested, and then for as long as he wanted, and then he got back on the treadmill for 1 minute, and then he was done for the day. Now, from our perspective, it's like, well, that's hardly exercise, but it was more than what he had been doing. And that's what we really want you to do, is if on your results it showed that you need improvement, you have to do something more than what you've been doing. Okay, you have to just ramp it up a little bit. But you do it with sense. You're not trying to win the race all at once. You do like Hank did, where you just go a minute and rest, and go another minute and rest, and then go another minute. Okay, and then as Janessa mentioned, you gradually add on. You either increase the intensity a little bit, or you increase the duration a little bit. Go a little longer, and that's what Hank did. He went so the next day, instead of going a minute, and I'm not exaggerating this really, he went 1 minute and 5 seconds, and so he just added 5 seconds to each interval. The next day he went 1 minute and 20, and I don't remember exactly how his increments went up, but he just gradually increased every time he came in, until in about 3 months he was able to go 20 minutes continuously, which is really cool. And your body will adapt just like his did, and that's what's, the body is such an amazing machine that it can adapt so readily and to its environment and to the changes and to the stress that we put on it. Hank ended up going back to his pulmonologist and said, hey, I've been exercising. The pulmonologist took some tests and was just thrilled with his results. This is fantastic. And so she gave him the red light, or the green light. I get my lights mixed up. Gave him the green light to do more, and so he started lifting weights, and so we gave him a program that helped him develop some other areas where he was lacking. But it was really cool to see the beginning and then to see his progress. And he's no longer with us, but it wasn't because he wasn't exercising. It was because he kind of aged out. And then anyway, so find the exercise that will work for you, whatever it is. When we did the test, you were sitting in a chair marching. If that's as much as you can do, then that's what you do. Okay? If it's twiddling your thumbs, if that's as much as you can do, then that's what you do. You get my point. Okay? Do what you will do. Find your mode of exercise. If you haven't been walking your dog, then start walking your dog. Even if that's not perfect cardio, do it anyway. Just get going. Okay? There's no change without challenge. So if you want to get better, you have to challenge yourself to do something. Okay? Do something a little bit more. Okay? And then when you're exercising at the right intensity, by those 3 tests that Janessa taught us. You can measure your heart rate. You can say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard am I working? And that changes, right? As your effort, as your ability changes, so does that rating. So it's like 3 weeks ago when I was walking this fast, I was at a level 7. Now when I'm walking this fast, I'm at a level 4. And we expect those changes. One other thing that, while I'm thinking about it, you know you're on the right path with exercise, with cardiovascular exercise. We want you to feel tired while you're working, but we want you to feel energized a few minutes after you're done. Okay, and that's one of the great benefits of cardio is that you put a little energy in and you get a lot of energy out. You just feel better. You feel exercised. Okay? Yeah. So one of the things with exercise that will apply not only to this but to all the exercise we do is the overload principle, which means that you're doing something a little more than what you're used to doing. So if you've been doing 2, do 3. If you've been doing 2, then do 2 faster. Okay? I mean, you're just doing something to change your effort. So it's a little bit more. Okay? If you've been twiddling your thumbs, twiddle 2 finger, whatever. Okay? That's a terrible example, but you get my point. Okay? Anything else there? Oh, yeah. At the bottom of your sheet, there's a line that says goal. We would like for you to write a goal. If you want, if you need someone to help you be accountable, then you share that with one of us, or you share it with the person you're sitting next to, or 2 people down. Maybe you don't know the person. Anyway, someone who can look you in the eye, or you can look in the eye and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And you're like, "No, you're not." You're like, "Yes, I'm doing it," whatever your goal is. Okay. The key is, folks, if you want to improve, you have to start, and you have to start soon, because the clock is ticking. It sure is. And that ticking is getting louder, isn't it? It's like it's like Captain Hook's, the crocodile. Okay. Any other questions? All right, so next week, did we remember what next week was? Okay, whatever is next week is next week. Oh, yeah. If you did not get your results, but it looked like everyone did, if you didn't, then make sure that we have your email before you leave, okay? Because if you didn't hear from us, it's because the email was bad, or we didn't enter it correctly. So you want to check with that. If you want to review the content, this will be on the Coastal Fitness YouTube channel. Okay, and it should be up a little bit later today. So if you need any reviewing, okay.
We'll email everybody with the handout first of all, but also the link to the YouTube channel.
We can do that? We are living in the 21st century, I'll tell you. So yeah, that's right. That's totally right. Yes, so you'll be getting it. Thank you, Janessa. That's good. So yeah, you'll be getting that link to this if you missed it. Okay, so everyone, whether they're here yesterday or today, will be getting this recording, and so that'd be good. Okay, if you need help with your formulas, let us know, and that'd be good too.
If you have any questions and you see us around the gym, please ask.
Yeah.
We're here all the time.
So for the sake of this, if you have any questions, just ask. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming. Oh, wait, there is a question. Yes.
We take a number that we had in the results, and it says you need improvement. When you start working out, do you start at that number, or do you try to beat it just
So no, you start. So like in this case of cardiovascular, you just start exercising, or you ramp up your exercise, whatever it is. So I don't know how you scored for okay. There's an honest man. So that means that you're going to look at your life. This is a great question. So so the question was, where do you start? If you got your looking at the camera, but so you've gotten your results. Now where do you start? So so in the case of cardio, you're going to say, all right, this is what I've been doing, and I need improvement, so I'm going to do something more. So if I've been walking for 10 minutes, now I'm going to say I'm going to go for 12, or I'm going to go for 11, or whatever it is. Okay, you're just going to increase that a little bit. all right, and gradually increase as you go, right? And then when we measure again, what we expect to find is that number in this case will actually go down. So we measured your heart rate from that 3 minutes of marching from the chair. We expect that number to drop a little bit, which means that your heart is getting more efficient at providing blood to your working body. And so that's the value of that score, is so that we can say, hey, yeah, this is where we were and this is where we are now. Okay, did that answer your question? Did anyone else have an additional question to that? All right, very good. Okay, now get out of here. No, no. Thanks for coming.